First off, before we start our panel discussion, it's just an honor to be here with you all at this table in this time. Can you just give us a little overview of kind of what brought you into doing this work as mobility justice leaders in your cities and neighborhoods? We'll start with you, Justin.
Yeah, I moved to Long Beach about 10 years ago. I would say what got me really into the justice side was the fact that I was riding my bike a lot and realized that there's a lot of holes in things like the infrastructure that was kind of affecting different communities. I also noticed that, you know, as the video mentioned, getting pulled over is not a new thing. And, you know, I was just riding my bike home from the grocery store one time, and the police said I fit a description. The description was the vaguest thing I'd ever heard. And that's whenever I realized that, you know, if I'm able to kind of share my stories and kind of connect with people, that I can maybe help someone, so.
I think I was called to the work meeting Ade Neff, the founder of Ride On Bike Shop and Co-op in Leimert Park Plaza, spending time with him, recognizing like the disparities in terms of the lack of infrastructure, lack of bike lanes, lack of, you know, sort of safety or safe streets, you know, that were offered to our communities, recognizing also too that programming wasn't really coming to us. So looking at that as an opportunity to be the face of, you know, sort of this message for our community, because the work is led by a lot of white people, white male people. You know, not many of them look, you know, like me, like Justin. So it's important that we all have these, you know, models of what these things look like.
I started in this work with art. When I placed the ghost bike for Dijon, I met his mother, and I also met his sister and his girlfriend and most of his family. And in that street, we just kind of connected, and they helped me place that memorial for Dijon. Hours after it happened, you know, that memorial needs to go up. And we do it undercover at night. We don't do it for any type of other reason other than to pay our respects to the fallen, whether it was police violence or traffic violence. We honor those that have fallen.
Talk to us about what mobility justice means to you in the work that you do today, and especially with the climate of the ICE raids, the racial profiling that is occurring, again, that many of us don't think about.
You know, I think the reality is, as we move through the uncertainty of the climate, the work that we're doing is even more important, right? The idea is that they want us to be separated. They want us to all be isolated and not come together and do things together because we have strength in community, right? We get our numbers together and they're like, oh my God, now they're afraid of us. So they want to keep us isolated in that way. So the reality is we have to figure out ways, even in these uncertain times, how to pursue joy, how to go after, like, you know, this, you know, the fear tactics, like push against them, right?
The complexity of just addressing, you know, mobility justice in this time, in this space. For me, that means also freedom of movement, you know, without fear, without oppression. We can't talk about our local oppression without really talking about global oppression. You know, we need to have these uncomfortable discussions about Gaza, about Palestine, about what's happening in Africa. Because freedom of movement here can't be freedom of movement elsewhere. And if we allow folks to be dehumanized here, they will continue to be dehumanized in Africa and in Gaza.
A lot of what we do is trying to encourage people to use that as a form of transportation to, in a way, kind of get off the grid in a sense, give people that freedom to move around, as we're talking about with the ICE raids and things as well. Even with my employees, me and the other executives sat down and made a real effort to like tell all of our employees, like, if you see something, let us know. It's not gonna be anything that you need to worry about. Like, we've set a standard and a culture with our company, and I think more companies need to do it, where you just gotta have those ugly conversations.
So we have to be equipped with the information and the knowledge to, one, help ourselves. And I think once we get comfortable with those conversations, we get comfortable with those practices, we can be advocates for one another, but we can also be that help that we need. So creating those spaces, looking at opportunities or the position that you're in to create these things, curriculum, knowledge, sharing, community space where we're washing clothes together. We, on our bike rides, sometimes get together and paint before we leave. We go eat together, you know, all of that community building. You know, it is not about bikes, but community building and biking and cycling and mobility justice go hand in hand.
A bike is gonna meet you where you're at. And a lot of people in a lot of scenarios in this world are not gonna be patient with you. A bike is patient. It'll push you, it'll be there for you. And that's really what these girls were experiencing. So I really encourage people to like find that community. The community doesn't have to be made up of the same expertise, the same levels of fitness, because just like a bike, those people in that community will slow down for you, they'll push you, they'll speed you up. I've been in bike rides where, you know, everybody got the full body spandex and I'm sitting there. I thought I was bad in some jean cutoffs and they were like, nah, dude, we're tight today. And that's when I realized that we can all vibe together, we can all fit together. And that's kind of where that intersectionality comes from too, where we're tapping into all sorts of communities, all sorts of needs.
There's a lot that happens in bicycling and cycling in terms of a bonding that keeps us working together. I actually met Danny way back when I first started, probably around 2012. So it is a journey. And I guess my next question is that relationship, because we can't do it alone. You know, we do need to have the bonding. We do need to develop the relationships. Talk to us about your collaborating, the ones that you feel have worked in terms of local government, working with other CBOs. What are some really great relationships you developed in this process?
We worked with PMJ on the Metro First Last Mile plan, and it's an award-winning plan where Metro chose 6 or 7 community-based organizations to do outreach on how to improve the Metro station in all of its stations. So the whole station network, our multi-generational community members, how to audit train stations and 1 mile network around the train stations. And we did that work together. Y'all did a few stations in Southeast LA. Healthy Active Streets did every station in Long Beach. That is one of the, I guess, culminating projects that we worked on together. That has been replicated in other Metro projects and in other projects like this. These transactional relationships that community-based organizations with firms, that needs to go away. We need to get paid the same rate y'all get paid. So that's what I'm talking about, right, Lena?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I am all for us, you know, sort of, I am not, and I think relationship building is wonderful, right? And we have made partnerships and we've worked with a lot of people, you know, at PMJ, community-based organizations. We have worked with the Department of Public Health. We've worked with OTS. We work with Metro. We work with a lot of those
Transactional relationships.
Indeed. So the problem is, though, a lot of those agencies, they still look at us as tokens.
For real.
They still look at us as tokens. They pay us pennies for the work that we're doing. And I think it's high time, one, for me at least, and at PMJ, our model is really focusing on, one, if we are working with those types of entities, that we make sure that we list out all of which it costs to do this work for you, right? On a full invoice, so that you see that. Because half the time they think, oh yeah, you know, we donated this time or you're volunteering and we're not. So that you can then say, hey, this is what it's worth for us to do this type of work and at this level, because you have sought us out as experts, but you want to pay us as if we're inexperienced. How does that work? Make the math. We have really great relationships, one of which we have a program in South Central called Power Up South Central. It's the first e-bike lending library, free e-bike lending library of its kind in South Central. We have 7 community partners that we work with. I am the mastermind behind the training and setting everything up, but it's free for the community.
We'll start where you are in the realm of what we're talking about today, and then also the graph that we have in the back that is actually pulled from W.E. Du Bois' kind of graphic design of charting systems, so to speak. And we did a survey in terms of how people were affected in terms of being an advocate. So this kind of rates kind of where that pressure is, all the way to the less pressure. And I think that it's really even people close to you that might not understand this work that we're doing, like your parents or your kids or your cousins, they don't get it. So you literally could start at home by becoming advocates and trying to first get them on board. And so for me, that was my training ground, my family. Thank you.